Dixon.
News! Okay, and now it's time for the next segment of Ring IQ's 2021 Top Prospects to Watch. Our next combatant takes us to the United Kingdom.
To Wigan, Lancashire.
Where a 25-year-old southpaw that goes by the name of Rhiannon
Dixon
is exhibiting all the qualities, all the traits of what could soon become a major player in the sport of women's boxing, especially over there in the United Kingdom where the women's boxing scene is booming. Rhiannon Dixon has sparred with the likes of Natasha Jonas, sparred with the likes of Terry Harper,
WBC super featherweight champion.
and young Rhiannon has the look of a fighter that very much belongs. The look of a fighter that belongs in the conversation with such experienced fighters as Natasha, experienced fighters like Terry, even though Rhiannon Dixon only has two professional fights under her belt. She has a pro record of 2-0. She has the look of a much more seasoned, much more experienced, well-schooled boxer than her record lets on. Almost immediately, what you notice about Rhiannon is her hand speed, her foot speed, her athleticism, the sharpness of her movements.
Staying off center.
Staying off the line whilst still getting off clean shots, showing effective aggression.
Good straight punches.
I want to say that Rhiannon Dixon exhibits this effective aggression long range with straight shots or short range, mid-range to inside, with hooks, body shots.
She can work inside or outside.
I want to say that there's good variety in those shots. There's good variety in those combinations. Rhiannon Dixon doesn't abandon the body.
Campaign's at 135.
That is the lightweight division where Katie Taylor is its undisputed champion. I gather that with only two professional fights under her belt, it is possible that maybe Rhiannon Dixon, as she progresses, makes a move downstairs
Later on
to the super featherweight division. It being that, Nicolaiah Mayer, she was in the lightweight division, in the early stages of her career, but she then moved down to super featherweight. Currently, she's the WBO champion there. I think something very similar could happen with Rhiannon. It's a common move amongst prospects to debut at one weight and then subsequently move down fight by fight in the early stages. I think that Rhiannon, given her physical dimensions, could be very effective as both a super featherweight, a lightweight, and perhaps even
140.
a super lightweight, 140 pounds. I want to say that the look of Rhiannon Dixon, the look of her base style, how she goes about fighting a fight, is the look of a boxer-puncher. A very aggressive boxer-puncher, a boxer-puncher with a mean streak, but a boxer-puncher nonetheless. A very athletic, quick boxer-puncher with fast hands and fast feet. Sharp movements. But that is the look of Rhiannon here today. There's plenty of room for her to develop. There's plenty of room for even more growth. But looking at her, she really does have the implementation of a boxer-puncher.
A very exciting boxer-puncher.
In boxing, you often hear about fan-friendly styles and how fan-friendly styles can lend themselves to a fighter's overall marketability. When it comes to Rhiannon, it's very easy on the eyes. She just so happens to possess a very fan-friendly style. Fan-friendly doesn't always mean throwing caution to the wind. Fan-friendly doesn't always mean
mauler,
pressure fighter. In the case of a fighter like Rhiannon Dixon, she has a fan-friendly style that involves a lot of educated maneuvers, educated punching, educated boxing. That being said, this is a fighter that exhibits a lot of promise, a high ceiling, and because Rhiannon is only 25 years old, there's plenty of shelf life.
Plenty of miles to go.
Lots of upside for this fighter. So keep your eyes peeled for
Wigan, Lancashire's
Rhiannon Dixon moving forward into 2021.
Benavidez no es mexicano porque no nació en México, pero eso no es lo importante. No es mexicano porque no es valiente. Los valientes no andan acomodando peleas para verse bien porque saben que con peleadores fáciles se pueden lucir como si le pegaran un costado.
That is Mexico's own unbeaten super middleweight prospect Mario Cazarez addressing David Benavidez and simply stating that David isn't Mexican because he wasn't even born in Mexico. Not that it matters, because David's real issue is he's lacking heart. He's lacking valor.
He's essentially challenging David Benavidez.
Mario Cazarez first came into attention, at least my attention, in September of last year when he defeated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Julio claimed to the ref, that Mario had headbutted him, and based on that, the fight was stopped. But when the fight was stopped and the scores were tallied, Mario had done enough to win the fight. That significantly raised his profile with the Chicano fans and the Mexican fans southwest of here. Not so much because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is all that good of a boxer, but because of his profile, who his father is, how well known the Chavez name is overall. Here today, Mario is an unbeaten super middleweight prospect, even though that Chavez fight took place at light heavyweight. Mario is making waves. He is getting some attention, and in so many words, he said that he beat the freckles off of Canelo Alvarez.
Freckles?
He has used the publicity to challenge Alvarez to a rematch in the professional ranks. Cazarez and Canelo met in 2004 in the National Olympiad in Mexico, with Cazarez having his hand raised in victory. Cazarez is now offering one of boxing's biggest stars the opportunity to get his revenge. He was quoted as saying, "Canelo, I left you crying once. Now, I'm going to put you to sleep. I'm going to knock off those freckles. They're going to be scattered in the ring, and I'm going to tell the janitor to send a dustpan to his coach, Eddie Reynoso, to pick up the freckles. I'm a natural 168-pounder, but with Canelo, we would fight in whatever division that he wants. I'm not going to put conditions because whatever weight it is, we're going to beat him. I'm interested in knocking off the freckles of Canelo, and let Reynoso pick them up." Those comments that Mario directed at Canelo are from October of last year. The video I played at the beginning of this segment was taken more recently, and that was directed to David Benavidez. I want to say that it's going to take more than just a trip down memory lane to get Canelo Alvarez in the ring because, Mario and Canelo, they're in the same age group. Both guys are in their early 30s. And, when they met in 2004, how old was Canelo Alvarez? 13 years old? You're essentially talking about something that happened when you guys was kids. How much has happened since then? How much has happened for Canelo, and how much has happened for Mario?
Much has happened for you.
Don't misunderstand me. I actually like Mario's energy. I like what he's exhibiting, the gamesmanship, and what he's putting out there. How he's using the press he's gotten for having beaten Chavez to bring himself center stage. Calling out Canelo, calling out David Benavidez. It's just that if I'm being honest, it is going to take more than just a trip down memory lane. Revisiting a fight that Canelo had
Years ago.
the Mexican Olympiad when he was 13. It's going to take more than that to get that guy's attention here today, because here today,
He's the face of boxing in this part of the world.
here today, Canelo Alvarez could quite literally say that he's got bigger fish to fry, that, yeah, maybe you beat that guy in 2004 at the Mexican Olympiad, but what have you done since then? This is the what have you done for me lately sport, after all. Mario is an unbeaten prospect at this point. The most notariable victory on his resume is the Chavez victory, but we all know that Chavez, well, he's not what you would describe as the most dedicated fighter.
He's not.
The bottom line is that in order for Mario to be able to get Canelo Alvarez in the ring, those eggs need more bacon. Now, David Benavidez, that's a more realistic prospect. That's a more realistic proposition. And it's a more realistic proposition because, David ain't got a belt. And neither David or Mario are very likely to land themselves a Canelo fight anytime in the near future. So a fight between them in the Southwest with the Chicano fans,
Make a bit of sense.
that could actually get a lot of attention. It could be good business for David Benavidez and the people over there at the PBC. Currently, Mario's not with those guys, you understand. He's not actually on that side of the street. But we know how much the PBC likes to try to galvanize the Chicano fans' attention.
Yeah.
They still want to tap into that market.
This is a fight that could.
Benavidez versus Cazarez in the Southwest is a fight that I think could do very good business. Now, they might require Mario to enter into some kind of a multi-fight, maybe even a multi-year agreement with them, but all things considered, it's not like Mario has a promoter here stateside. He actually doesn't. The PBC really wants to tap into that Chicano market, that Mexican-American market. They want to get their attention. They want to get their business. They need to stop wasting time frittering money away on Gervonta Davis just to feed him little guys,
From there.
hoping that it'll fool someone, and make a fight like this, because a fight like this would be an even contest. Both Mario Cazarez and David Benavidez, they're big boys, they're big kids, at 168 pounds. Mario's making waves, saying this and that. He wants to make a statement, so give him the chance. Let him try to make it. And if he doesn't, that's positive press for David Benavidez. Smacking him around for talking that shit.
Talking shit.
I mean, what's David Benavidez so busy doing? What's he so busy with? This is the ideal opportunity for him to be involved in a fight of some mild interest, some mild intrigue that would afford him the opportunity to garner some positive press. Because what he's been doing as of late, losing his title on the scales, losing the title outside of the squared circle, losing it outside of the ring for the second time. Well, that ain't good for business, is it?
Don't act like you're too good for this fight.
Because you're not. Don't try to act like you got something better to do.
Of course you don't. You fucking know it.
My honest opinion, my honest take. Given where Mario Cazarez campaigns and what he's saying, that he's calling out Canelo and he's calling out David Benavidez, the people over there at the PBC could do a lot worse than to sign this guy, than to try and be his liaison to the American fight fans. They might be doing themselves a favor in picking him up. And if not, at minimum, it's a favor to one of their boys. It's a favor to David Benavidez to pick this guy up so David can shut him up. As hard as they try and appeal to those fight fans, with this fight, it might actually work this time if they do it right. And finally, per tweet from Michael Benson, a continuation to a story we talked about in a previous video, that Eddie Hearn has declared that he will absolutely bid to try and get Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos Jr. on DAZN if it goes to purse bids February 18th. We talked about how that's not a bad thing for Teofimo because Teofimo's not happy with the kind of money Bob's putting up for the fight. He wants more. In a purse bid situation, he actually stands a better chance of getting more of that money. It'll just be coming from someone else, someone who so decides to flip the bill.
It's not actually a bad thing for Teofimo.
But for Bob Arum and the people over there at Top Rank, depending on how you look at it, it could be. Oh, granted that Bob Arum will save himself some coin, save himself some of his own money by not being the one that hosts that fight. That if Teofimo Lopez has certain financial demands, they won't come at his expense. Yeah, you're saving some money. But in the long run, how would it look if that fight ends up on DAZN? How does that make the people over there at Top Rank look, and how does that make the people over there at Matchroom look? If, hypothetically, Matchroom wins the purse bid, and the fight goes down on DAZN as opposed to ESPN.
Matchroom's wallet has been a thorn in Bob's side for a while now.
Ever since the Vasyl Lomachenko versus Anthony Crolla fight. I told you guys before, Eddie Hearn was going to try to use that situation to get Vasyl Lomachenko versus Anthony Crolla on DAZN because Anthony Crolla was Vasyl Lomachenko's mandatory challenger. He was going to try to push for a purse bid to thereby place the winning bid and have Vasyl Lomachenko fight on DAZN. Bob knew this, and as a result of that, he ended up overpaying Anthony Crolla to ensure that Vasyl Lomachenko and his fight don't go anywhere.
Bob wasn't happy about that.
That's why Bob so decided to petition the WBC to make Vasyl Lomachenko a franchise champion thereafter so that he wouldn't find himself in that kind of a situation with Vasyl Lomachenko again.
To where Eddie's trying to get one of Bob's boys to fight on DAZN.
One of Bob's prized stallions. Here today, one of Bob's prized stallions in the lightweight division is Teofimo Lopez. Undisputed to some, simply unified to others, but better still. Teofimo is a part of Top Rank's bottom line at 135 pounds. Yet Bob, in so many words, has communicated that, you know what, he's willing to let somebody else pay for the goddamn fight.
Fuck it.
And what that communicates to me is that whatever Teofimo Lopez's financial demands are, they are far more than Bob is willing to deal with. Far more than Bob is willing to pay. In that situation, he'll let Teofimo try his luck in the open market and let someone else decide what he should get paid for the fight based on how much money's in the pot. Now, as stated, short term, it's a win for Bob because he won't be the one flipping the bill. He'll get to save himself some money. But in the long run, what kind of message does that send out about Top Rank? What kind of message does that send out about Bob? I'm not talking about the message that me and you receive. I don't think Bob Arum gives a rat's furry fucking ass what me and you think, but I do think he cares what up-and-coming fighters might think. Fighters that are looking for a promotional outfit as they transition from the amateur to the pro ranks. I think that might leave a lot of fighters feeling like Matchroom is the place to go. not Top Rank.
Might also cause Teofimo to reevaluate his relationship with Top Rank.
Matchroom winning the purse bid, if it goes down, that doesn't exactly release Teofimo Lopez from his contractual obligations to Top Rank. It doesn't. But it creates a situation to, whenever this kid's contract is up, he's likely going to jump ship. He's going to jump ship, and he's probably going to consider going over there to Matchroom.
Because that's where the money is.
Lopez versus Kambosos Jr. is going to purse bids because Lopez isn't happy with the money. Whereas Eddie Hearn, he got that Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams fight done easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No purse bids required.
Canelo versus Smith. Canelo versus Yildirim.
What could soon be Canelo versus Saunders.
Joshua versus Pulev.
These are all fights that involve or involved sizable amounts of money, and terms were met. Terms were agreed to. They weren't anywhere near as messy as what we're seeing between Teofimo Lopez and Bob Arum, his own promoter.
I told you I understand where Bob's coming from.
I get it. Different fights have different market values. Not all championship boxing matches are created equal. Not all of them create the same interest, generate the same dollar amounts. Thus, what a fighter hopes to make, it has to be based on that. For Teofimo, maybe it's based on something else. Maybe it's based on, him rising to the occasion, beating Richard Commey, beating Vasyl Lomachenko. Maybe he has a set dollar amount in his own mind that he thinks he should be paid every single time he enters into the ring. And in truth, I don't fault him either. I'm just being honest. A Kambosos fight, that ain't a big money fight. That ain't a big marquee attraction. The only hope of that happening that way rested with the fight happening in Australia, in the hopes that, George, being Australian, could generate some interest in live gate revenue down there.
That's not working out.
What could settle the issue that Teofimo Lopez is having is a purse bid. A purse bid where, Eddie Hearn pulls out that Matchroom DAZN wallet, and maybe, just maybe, they're willing to put up a little bit more money than Bob is.
That'll do it.